Hello again, rail fans, and welcome back to another video. This video being similar to our previous video of everything that we saw in June. This video is going to be everything that we saw in July, for the exception of a trip I did back in mid-July with a buddy of mine. That will be its own video, starting off here in Austell, Georgia on the night of July 3rd, 2022. We would come out here for a few hours, we would see a handful of trains, and our first train being shown right here. A southbound loaded grain train heading probably south of Atlanta somewhere, and our luck with locomotive power on this night would be pretty good, even though it wouldn't be leading. About 15 minutes later, an S-187 would show up, flying through town, diverging onto the NS East End District for Ernest Norris Yard in Irondale, Alabama. And here's why you pick up your food in Austell instead of sitting down. Right after we got our food from the drive-thru, we would cross the tracks and see this guy coming up the hill, so I would have to hurry out of the car and get my tripod set up for the catch. And I'm glad I did. And even though the lead engine was pretty cool, one of the mid-train DPUs made this train way better. I never got the train number on this guy, but from the looks of it, it looked like a 223, but I still had no idea because this train was mixed with a completely other train after the mid-DPUs. And there's the reason why I said the train would get even better once the mid-DPU showed up. The NSF-9 985 is one of the few Heritage 1-9s left on their system, and to think about it, I don't think I've seen one of these before, or I have, and it's been a very long time. But just a little bit later into the night, we would get an even better catch. So that happened. We were literally about to leave. I put my tripod in the car, and then all of a sudden this guy came up out of nowhere. And this is the catch I was talking about that we would see a little bit later into the night. And I don't know if you couldn't notice, but the trailing engine was BNSF 736, one of their so-called fake bonnets, which is an ex-Santa Fe -9. This train that was passing was a short one, and I believe it was northbound intermodal 232. And after the train passed, we would head on home, but I would be back out just a few days later. Now we skip ahead a few days to July 8th, 2022, where my grandpa and I would head out during the late evening and night hours to see what was going on, as we would not be able to go out on the WNA during the daytime for the rest of the summer. I'll get into that in a few minutes. Our southbound train coming through North Elizabeth here would be southbound manifest X841, normally numbered M541, had its prefix changed to the oddball X841 because of everything that had been going on with not many trains running during the daytime. Okay, so the reason why I wasn't going to be able to go out for the rest of the summer is because CSX decided to do a tire replacement curfew here on the WNA. That meant they were going to replace all their concrete ties that were still laid under the track on the WNA, which is from about north end of Ackworth to Cartersville. But I also heard they started it down here, but I don't know if that was true. By this time now, the curfew is about done. All the concrete ties have been replaced, and it looks kind of different now in downtown Cartersville and such. But now that means I will be able to go back out during the daytime on the weekends. Now, with this X841 prefix, X841 was renumbered to this during the curfew time because he would have to run during the middle of the curfew. I don't know why they changed its symbol to X841, but I don't work for the railroad, so I have no idea why. After X841 rounded the corner south, the northbound signal here at North Elizabeth would light up with a high green for our next train. So we would move to Kennesaw because I knew it would have a little bit more of light. Pulling in here to Kennesaw, it wouldn't be too long before our northbound would light up the scanner, our northbound being empty coal E90405, coming out of Andrews, South Carolina and heading to Evansville, Indiana.
Clear signal. Kennesaw, track 1.
The defect detector on this night would count E904 in at over 900 axles, which is about 12,000 feet of empty coal hoppers, which meant E904 was combined with another coal train, but we didn't know which coal train he was combined with. And it was also cool to see this guy, as he had 5 engines and was coming through here at a pretty good speed, as most trains don't come through here very fast, as this is the crest of a grade coming in each direction. After E904 passed Kennesaw, we moseyed our way on up into Ackworth, where we ran into a CSX guy, and we asked him if anything was in the area and if anything was coming this direction. And what he told us was that he was waiting on a northbound loaded Herzog train, WO82, and that there was also a southbound loaded coal train on the Etowah sub that had clearance to Junna, and he was in the Bolivar area around Rydal. So we came up to Lemon Street to catch WO82, but what the CSX worker didn't tell us is that WO82 was going to stop at the next crossing south. So when we heard WO82 call a medium approach at the south end of Ackworth, we thought he was still going to come through here and stop at the north end of the siding, and then we heard this audio on the scanner.
82. Yeah, we're right here at this crossing if you want to come to a stop. We're stopping right now.
Once WO82 came to a stop at the next crossing south, a Herzog worker showed up, and the engineer and conductor got out of the cab, and then the dispatcher called into the engineer and conductor asking what they were going to do. And then what they told the dispatcher was that they were going to inspect the train from the first car to the middle car, and then from the middle car to the end of the train to make sure all the hoses were working in between each Herzog hopper for when they were going to dump the train. Where they were going to dump the train was at the Unknown Hero area at the Allatoona Pass, and what I heard is that they can dump these trains going 25 miles an hour, which is pretty cool. But it was so dark back there at this time that we would have not been able to see it on this night. And the inspection they were about to do was going to be all at walking speed, so when the train got here, it would be going less than 5 miles an hour, and once they reached the middle car, the Herzog worker would check and make sure it was all clear, and when it was all clear, the train would start moving very slowly again so the Herzog worker could check from the middle car all the way to the end of the train. Leading the loaded Herzog train on this night was CSXT 4545, a recently rebuilt SD70 Mace, and the YN3C paint scheme. It was kind of a bummer to see this guy going so slow through here, because if he was going at track speed, I would have really been able to hear that EMD motor roaring with all this loaded ballast in tow behind him. Right now is where the Herzog worker is making the inspection at the middle car, and in just a few seconds the train will start moving again so we can start inspecting from the middle car to the end of the train. The Herzog worker has now inspected the last car, and WO82 will roll on up to the north end of Ackworth siding. We're now on this side of the track because we went to go check the signals for that southbound, and sure enough, it was a high green heading southbound at the south end of Ackworth siding. So here we would wait for our southbound loaded coal train while WO82 rolls on up to the north end of Ackworth to stop. WO82 would clear the crossing here at Lemon Street and disappear off into the darkness northbound, and by this time our southbound loaded coal train wasn't that far off. It'd be about just another 15 minutes when we would hear the sound of a distant K5LA echoing through the woods of North Georgia on a summer night. In about 5 minutes, we would hear our southbound loaded coal train, which turned out to be C736, call clear signal at north end of Ackworth. And just a couple of minutes later, the crossings would activate here at Lemon Street. At 12:09 a.m. on the next day of July 8th, 2022, C-736 would roll into the town of Ackworth with 2 GEVOs at the head end. C-736 is a coal train that I've seen before, but the last time I saw it was when it was T-736 before the train symbol changed. C-736 is one of my favorite coal trains to see out here on the WNA, other than the CSX Company coal trains, which aren't running as much anymore. The reason why C-736 is one of my favorites is because it always has different coal hoppers in the consist. You'll see some bathtub hoppers, then some normal bay hoppers, then some RDL hoppers. After C-736 passed through Ackworth, we would head back home, but I would come out for one more night later into the month of July, just a few days before my school would start up again. It is now July 23rd, 2022, and we're set up yet again at North Elizabeth for another southbound. This southbound being M587, a quite new train to the WNA, which is all auto racks, and tonight he would have a GEVO leader and an SD70 Mace trailing a long string of auto racks. Being added to the WNA a few months ago, M587 runs out of Osborne Yard in Louisville, Kentucky, down south to Maxwell Yard in Greenwood, South Carolina, and on his way he works TDSI in Lawrenceville, Georgia. After M587 passed Elizabeth, the same thing happened that happened with X841 and E904, but this time it was northbound intermodal shuttle L710 coming out of Fairburn, Georgia and heading to the Appalachian Regional Port in Crandall, Georgia, with a solo AC 4400 number 561 leading the charge north with a small string of double stacks in tow.
L710 23 northbound is 560 here in Kennesaw, Tennessee.
I hope you all enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe. Hit the bell icon so you get notified each time I make a new video. And stay tuned for more videos in the future. But with the last train of summer 2022 passing through Kennesaw, this is Georgia Rail Production saying so long from Outpost OWNA 28.6.